Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 7 of the 42nd Mill Valley Film Festival. We're so happy to have you here tonight for the West Coast premiere of Honey Boy, directed by Alma Har'el. This is Alma's 3rd film. Her first 2 were documentaries. She won the grand prize for documentary at the 2011 Tribeca Film Festival. Bombay Beach was the name of the film. It also was nominated for a Spirit Award. Love True was her 2nd documentary. And this is an auspicious debut for her first narrative film. We are so proud to have the film and have her here at the Mill Valley Film Festival. Please welcome Alma.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. This is so amazing. What a full house. So exciting to bring this film here. And so special every time we show it. It's kind of crazy because today's Yom Kippur, so any Jews in the house, I don't know. Shout out to all my Jews. I definitely think it's amazing to show it today because even though I'm kind of a bad Jew that doesn't practice Yom Kippur, I do practice forgiveness, which is what Yom Kippur is for. And this film really is about forgiveness and about the ability to forgive in order to love and to move on. Shia came into my life out of nowhere when I did my first documentary film, Bombay Beach, and he picked it up randomly at Amoeba Records, and then contacted me, and sort of, life took on from there, and we made music video and a film together. And when he was court-ordered to go to rehab, as part of being there, he was asked to write his memories to help himself after getting diagnosed with PTSD. He sent it to me from rehab, and really what you're going to see today is a version of that script. And I think we're going to come back afterwards here, and Shia is going to join me, and we're going to have a Q&A. So hopefully you could stay afterwards, and I'll see you if you survive this thing we made. See you soon.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring back the director, Alma Har'el.
I'd like to invite Byron Bowers, the always funny.
Do we have one more chair? Or no? No.
And the person who wrote this film and made it happen for all of us to be part of something exceptional, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah! Yeah!
You go. Hey, hi. Welcome, everyone. I can't say enough about this film, and I'm sure the audience concurs that this is just a unique and beautiful film.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I think maybe, could we start maybe at the beginning and talk about, because I know this happened in, this is California, so I could say it happened in an organic way. Right? So can you kind of give us an inkling of with the relationship and where that started, and I know we all believe in serendipity, so how we got to this point.
So I was in rehab. I was in this court-ordered rehab facility. I got arrested in Georgia and sent to this rehab facility, and I get in there, and I'm there for about a month. They say, hey, you have PTSD, and made me do this stuff called exposure therapy. And so then I started chipping away at this, this one chapter of my life and writing it down in sort of a conversational setting, like a Gestalt therapy type of thing. And they had me sitting in this room with this therapist reading it out loud, like playing these roles. And so I wrote all this dialogue down and went home with it, had about 50 or 60 pages. And at this place I was at, you got the computer once a week. You could email your buddies. And I didn't have too many buddies at the time. I was kind of nuclear. But I had this one buddy right here who I send all the stuff that I make to, all my creative efforts and all of my life efforts. And we share sensibilities and certain traumas. And I knew that she'd be receptive. And so not in the way that she was, not like, hey, let's go make a movie, but just receptive on a human level. And so I sent it to her, and we had been, at this point, collaborating with each other for a few years now. She had made some beautiful work. If you haven't seen her stuff, you should go check it out. Her shit's incredible. And so I had written her a fan letter a few years back, and we made this Sigur Rós video, and then she went off and made another documentary I was lucky to be a part of. But in that time, we were searching for like narrative work, like stuff that we could make a movie. And I sent this to her, and she said, hey, this might be a film. And nobody was really trying to fuck with me as an actor at this point, so I thought, all right, I'll just write it, I'll finish it, send it off to her, she'll go make this movie. She said, it's only a movie if you play your dad. And that hit me from a whole weird angle. And then I started chipping away at that idea. So my rehab became some kind of like a creative studio. And felt very urgent. And then when I got out, we wrote the ending together, and she sent me to go see my dad again, who I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. So that's my short version.
That's perfect job. I'm like fighting with this chair too, right?
Trippy chair.
Yeah, it's really challenging chair situation here, but I'm gonna do the best I can.
So Alma, well, can you tell me from your perspective in the relationship, and you want to add anything to that? And
Yeah, I mean, I just, I made this documentary called Bombay Beach, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but yeah, just like got an email from him one day, and which was really crazy and kind of hard to believe that it's really him, because it was very direct and kind of natural. Now knowing him, I can't imagine any other way, but at the time I remember that like my ex-husband was like, it's not him, no way. He would like send his agent if it was him, somebody's fucking with you. But it was him, and we went to dinner, and I think that night when we met, we kind of both spoke to each other about our dads being alcoholics, and just a lot about love and truth and all sorts of things like trauma and what we want to do. And, it was almost like that first meeting kind of launched 7 years of a relationship and building a lot of trust and understanding each other better artistically, and then kind of finding myself here with this light in my eyes. I feel it all makes sense.
can you make that less bright?
No, I like it. It's making me very thoughtful.
You get a suntan, right?
No, I like it. It's kind of, it feels right.
So both of you had a similar background in terms of your fathers being alcoholics, but this movie in itself is about so many different things, and it seems to me that for you to play your dad and to write this about your younger self and all the complexities of what you were feeling that resulted in your trauma, it almost seems insurmountable that this could be made and come up to this thing of beauty, which I think, well, let me even say one other thing. Roger Ebert said, films are an empathy machine. And I think this film is for everybody. It's not just for the people who had trauma when they were younger, and just to the people who had alcoholics in their family, but it just came together in such an amazing way. How did you as the writer and you as the actor and you as the actor, and the writer, yeah, make this happen?
Yeah. You want to go ahead and get it, Byron? You always answer things better.
I think people come to see this film to see a great actor and a great actor play his father with that expectation in mind, right? But you all get triggered in different ways that you didn't even know. So this film has a way to look at making you look at the relationship that you might have with your parents or with your children or the children you might think about having one day. For me, my dad was also an addict, and this was able allow me to tell that story, and I wanted to help Shia tell this story, and I think this story is important to be told during this moment of time when men are being able to be vulnerable at this moment. We're getting blamed for a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it's like, look, let me tell you why you blaming me for this stuff you're blaming me for. And I think that's important for the world to experience at the moment. Look at everybody nodding. Y'all could verbally say something. This ain't church. Got this police light on me.
There's a bunch of ILM boys in here, guys who actually worked on Transformers, who work over at ILM. Like, there's Scott right there. He did all those special effects on Transformers. I got really close with him. It's wild. Some weird full circle thing.
I gotta say,
Hi, Scott.
that. How was that opening shot? Did we?
That dude's the best motherfucker in the whole game right there. He's a strange wizard. It's a very strange wizard in the corner over there. There's some other little weird wizards around here too.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky to have him here in Marin County. It's not just the Mount Tamalpais, but it's our friends at Lucasfilm.
He really is a brilliant dude.
So Alma, so you had to wrangle this crew, and the young Shia as well, a great cast, some of them non-professionals, and tell me about that experience on the set.
Yeah, it was. Below and above the line. I think I was just so lucky with every person that kind of joined us, and it was a lot of responsibility, I think, on many levels to make this film, because I love Shia so much and admire his struggles and him as an artist, and kind of wanted to find somebody that can sort of play him, but it was really mind-boggling because he was there too, so it was becoming this thing of how do you do it without creating some weird mirror of one person imitating the other person and all of that, and remember it was at the time that he played John McEnroe, at the time when it came out, when we were casting, and I was like, how weird would that have been if John McEnroe was in it in every scene. So I was just like, how do you get out of that? And then it's just Lucas Hedges came along, and it was like, oh, this kid here, he's like a whole other, kind of, I don't know, being that is in some ways so different than Shia, but in others, Shia meant so much to him, as an artist, and also he has a relationship, I think, to truth and to acting that is super defining, definitive. And I really connected to that. And Noah came along, and him and Lucas shared something. And once Noah and Shia kind of got together, it was kind of game over. I knew that they're gonna. I had a film. I remember I filmed the audition on my iPhone. I was like, I could just put this out. So it was, it just kind of all came together. But it was a process. We saw like a lot of people, a lot of good people, but nothing felt right. And then Byron here, who came and kind of brought so much into it because he really improvised a lot and helped us in a way write his role, even though it was based on a real dude, but he kind of brought his own thing into it. So it was kind of, it's my first time doing a scripted film, and good job. I appreciate that choice. I really do. I think I see how mature you are now. And I'm going to
Should we
join
get rid
you.
of these chairs?
Yeah, I'm gonna join him. Shia has grown.
So how
a lot.
about, your experience as
past
a
year.
documentary filmmaker? I mean, in a sense, you had this real, you're dealing with a real, well, it's a dramatic film, but it's based on your experiences, and you're a documentary filmmaker, and did that help you?
I mean, it was incredible. I mean, I think Shia and me had some competitions on who knows the truth better on set. Sometimes,
who-
obviously, he did because it was his life, but I was still
you
kind
knew
of
better.
competing. But yeah, I mean, I think it was really helpful because we wanted to. I mean, this film was such a trip. It was like a search for truth, but it was also a search to, kind of transcend whatever was there to begin with and make it bigger than what it is. And kind of, he really wanted to capture his father. I really wanted to capture him. So it was a lot of a lot of chess. But it was really helpful, I think, to come from documentary because I think that I can tell, even though I feel like some of my best strengths are in the editing room because I'm so used to being put here's 300 hours of footage, now tell a story, as opposed to having a script. I think that that's actually good because you can rethink things and be free. But also on set, just to feel like you know how people behave and you have a taste of reality that you've learned to really appreciate. So when things kind of feel not right and not truthful, you can sense, your truth meter goes crazy. And I think that that's something that Shia really responds to as an actor and can hopefully sometimes trust me. Sometimes his truth meter is working on its own. But it was cool to have that on such a story.
So what about the kind of non-linear approach to it?
Not to cut you off, so I didn't. But just
did I?
making sure. No, you didn't. No, you're a sweet man. You should also watch Alma's documentaries, specifically because of the way she deals with truth and multiple truths at once. She films people and then has them go back and relive their truth on camera via dance and movement and pantomime, and some of the stuff that you see popping off in our movie come from Alma's style that's quite specific to what Alma brings to cinema, which you haven't seen before. And that also flipped this whole thing on its head and allowed us to sort of look at things from a distance and almost like a dreamlike quality to the entire film, but specific scenes that you'll see in Bombay Beach and Love True as well.
Thank you for that.
And part of your story, when you made your second documentary, you helped out on that one too.
Yeah, that's the Scott Farrar. The money that we made together actually went into her film. So, thanks again, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
So I was mentioning, how did it come about, this kind of structure of the film, and dealing with the younger and the older, and the way you edited it.
Right.
This was.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with the script, when I got the script from Shia, everything that made it my favorite thing ever at the time and cleared my table and made me not want to do anything else was there, in the edit, and it now was filmed. And then the one thing that I wasn't sure about is the linear structure that it came in. Originally, I think in therapy, Shia really wrote, first of all, his younger years. So it started, when I got it, it was just the younger Otis with his father. And in a way, I think I kind of imposed it a little, that he would have an older version and kind of have a way to reflect on younger Otis. And when I came to the edit, the linear form of it, of starting with younger Otis and then moving to the older Otis, felt like it wasn't really what was happening, because really what was happening is that you had a reference to who was this kid, you know, and like you kind of, in my head, I knew Shia, then found out who the kid was, you know, and like kind of starting with that and really setting up him and all of that first and going back and forth. I thought it was like framing everything. And like there's kind of a quality of, and I speak about it sometimes, being like a detective when you go through childhood trauma and you later on try to figure out why you are the way you are, and like things happen and memories and pieces of dreams and I don't know what, like it just kind of comes together and slowly you start to piece it together and realize why you are the way you are. So I wanted to kind of capture that.
Which is dope to me, because when I read the script, I came on last. It had like a beginning, a middle, and then it had an end. But as you could tell in life, our end changes every minute. So the film became that sequence, like how now if we triggered, we look back. You saw something in the film that made you look back at how you were treated as you were younger, and the film did that. So that what makes it trippy in a way to me, you know. Y'all know, y'all done shrooms before. Mill Valley.
So, did you show the script to your dad, or did he see the film? And
Yeah, so I hadn't talked to him for quite a while, and then got there and knew that I couldn't pitch me playing him yet, because that would have been way too much, and he wouldn't have gone for that shit, no way. So I think I told him somebody else was going to be playing him, and he liked this somebody else, and that was bogus, but he rolled with it. He's like, what's that?
you were breaking it in slowly?
Yeah, I mean, I never told him I was going to play him until we were already gearing up to go, because I needed him to sign this paperwork, and there's no way he'd have signed the fucking paper. I don't know what your relationship is with your pop, but yeah, I don't have that kind of thing. So, yeah, I would read him 4 or 5 scenes a day, and then that went on for about a week, just reading scenes and talking stuff out, and that was a whole experience, which wound up being this ending that I wrote, that's not in the movie.
It's kind of in the movie as a dream that Lucas dreams and rehab. Yeah.
But the line did come from the one of the last things that he said in the tape recorder. He's like, "Well, make me look good, honey boy," you know, and that became like that whole thing encapsulated. Basically, it was like that is my father, you know. So I thought it was quite sweet, and then threw it to Alma, and we started structuring in the ending. But yeah, that came out of going to build a relationship with my dad again, which I don't know if I would have done had it not been under the auspices of this craft that I really love. Because I think I love this craft more than anything or anyone in my life. And so back against the wall thinking, fuck, I'm never going to work again. I think that was the only way to get me to open up to my father. And it was such a strange setup where it's like, all right, well, if you want to do this thing that you love a lot, then you got to make right with this man. And that just felt like a fucking gun to your head, you know? And I don't know, I'm stubborn. I don't know if I'd have done it any other way. I don't know if we'd have made peace any other way, unless he had the keys to my kingdom in a way, you know? And it was a strange thing where I had found this craft that's treated me better than anyone and anything in my life and been the most consistent relationship I've ever had with anything. And now I'm standing in the face of a man who really, the only legacy he ever gave me was this story. He never was going to send me to college. There was no money in the bank. There was no, even like a car or a keychain. He never bestowed me with any like physical objects, but we had this story together. And in order for me to go do this thing, the way in was through. And so it forced me to connect with my father, even above and beyond my own feelings about the entire thing. So that was very strange and felt like some kind of, my mother would say that was Bichette, that 2 stubborn men in a room would come together under the auspices of these goals, this agenda. Really, it was an agenda, which was, I need to get to set because this is where I am alive, And the only way I can get to set is if I make right with you. And it just felt like some kind of, makes you think of spiritual things, you know. Really, I mean, that's, you know, my God's a funny fucker, and that's the only way it's the only way I would have got close with him. There'd been no other way unless you dangled that meat in front of my mouth, you know. So yeah, that's how it went down.
Life is a strange and beautiful
Amazing.
thing, isn't it? Amazing. So it sounds like we should tell stories about our dad now, you know? No, I'm not going to do it. But you can, because this influenced your writing and as well. Is there something you want to say?
Oh, as far as like with what I was writing about my father, my dad was paranoid schizophrenic. So by the time this script came along, I was already like writing. I'm a comedian by trade, I know. Don't be disappointed. I know comics dress like this, I'm sorry. But I was already talking about schizophrenia which is hard to talk about because it's hard to spell, first off. I don't know if you ever tried.
I can't spell it.
Yeah, you look crazy spelling it. That's why I never would talk about it. It was embarrassing, you know what I mean? Bring awareness to some shit you can't spell. I'd be like, man, I wish you had AIDS. It would be so much easier to explain. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, through this writing of it, I learned, and probably Shia too learned, like this is the most relatable thing that I've had, like material-wise. And the people that were coming up to me and the people that was writing me who also shared these experiences, and I found out that I'm not alone in this world, you know what I mean? Even through this film, you know, I found out that I'm not the only one with my dad did drugs too, so I'm not the only child of an addict who has the residual effects of being a child of an addict. Because a lot of times, a lot of people like to tell you how you're not normal, or you shouldn't act this way or do these things, and it isolates you. But when you find out that there's more people out there that are like keeping this stuff in, and we start to let these things out, then that becomes the new norm, and we begin to feel human and loved again. And to me, that's the way to prevent feeling like a victim. And you know it comes when you feel like a victim. That's how we have all the shootings and stuff like that. So I think these stories are important for us to keep telling, you know what I mean? Because everybody in here has a story like that, and you could tell it in a creative way, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, it's your dad's play an important part in your life, and did you want to say anything further? Or?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot. I mean, I think I tell other people's stories better than I tell my own. Otherwise, I would have done it already. But I do love my dad so much, and I probably wouldn't have made films if it wasn't for him. My dad is an alcoholic. He still drinks, and he's also my best friend, and he also sends me almost every day or two an email about a film he just watched, or, you know, or a TV thing, and his thoughts about stuff. And when I was little, him and my mom, whenever they would fight, he would, you know, they would break up, and he wouldn't be allowed in the house when they were, because she was trying to kind of hold on to the breakup, because, you know, that happens a lot in families with alcoholics, where it's like, this time it's final, and I'm not going to let him in, and then I'm not going to break. So he would be out of the house, and we would just go and see movies when he'd come to see us. And that was how I got into movies, you know. It was just like, that was the place I would hang out with my dad and get to hear what he thinks about all these motherfuckers on the screen, and kind of hear his deepest thoughts and realize what's cool to him, and, you know, what he thinks is shit, and like, so, yeah, that's how I started to make movies. But I'm still not very good at telling my own story, and I think I've been really fortunate that Shia wrote this, because it kind of got me to touch this subject, and as close as I could get to it.
Yeah, yeah. I think my story was different. So my dad died when I was a teenager. So it was a different kind of pain. It was a pain like sometimes in guilt. I had that fight with him before. First time he ever hit me. Why did I do that? Did he know I loved me? That kind of thing. But nevertheless, still kind of a different kind of pain from that.
What was his name?
Louis. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you all for
Oh, you just
this.
gonna end it like that? Okay, shit.
Is that too sad? All right, well,
Shout out
come
to
on,
Louis.
you're the comedian. Let's get a real good ending here.
No, I mean that we did it. You know what I mean? We all made it through. Anybody else got a dad story out there? Goddamn.
All right. This is like church.
Yeah. So.
Now, I want to thank you guys for just making
And
this.
all the daddies out there, all the daddy issues too.
I want to thank you for making this beautiful film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Let's go fishing.